Welcome back, everyone, to the Sunday Spotlight. And tonight, we dread not. Because if we don't like where the road's going, we can just pick another one. Dread Delusion is an open-world RPG released back in May of this year, care of indie developer Lovely Hellplace. This appears to be their debut title, and boy does it make a strong first impression. An imaginative fantasy adventure, a broken world with flying islands, mushroom forests, weird creatures, ancient tech we no longer understand. There are some ideas in this world. It's often compared to Morrowind, and not without reason, but when you get into gameplay, it's doing something a little more straightforward. We'll explore that in more detail when we get rolling, but you can see right away the visuals are a deliberately low poly aesthetic, relying on the design and color scheme more than detailed models and environments to paint a vivid picture. It's a strange world you're thrust into. The game kind of builds on that with some good writing, a solid plot hook, and plenty of freedom to explore the world and its mysteries at your own pace. That said, our options are reasonably modern. Control scheme is effective, the intro eases you to the gameplay. There's just good nuts and bolts game design at work here, smartly focusing on the important elements of play. Hey Ivory, go ahead and get comfy. But yeah, this looks like the kind of game that's ready to bust you in the tender bits, but you won't be stumbling out of Satanin and flailing in a mud crab for 5 minutes before you land a hit. It's much more gentle than it looks. Let's get started and find out the hell that we've gotten ourselves into. So yeah, I'll go ahead and clear that out. I haven't gotten too far, just past the tutorial area, and sort of gotten my feet wet, but not too far into the game. We'll start fresh. I don't know the difference between normal and hard mode. I'm guessing at a minimum it's how much damage enemies do and what kind of resources are available, but we'll just play normal for now. The kitty's on the hunt.
The world was long ago broken, its surface cursed. You are a dweller of the sky realms, drifting islands that cradle the last of human civilization. Here, in the dank cell of an Inquisition ship, you ruminate on your past.
So, again, the
Dreams
Morrowind...
of childhood slip through your mind. Was your fate sealed?
Right, the Morrowind comparisons are not unearned. We're on a prison ship, being released for reasons not yet known to us, soon put on a task of grave importance. But we're seeing some important differences right away. This section here helps build out our character a little more, and our options are pretty straightforward. You really only have 4 paths to choose from: fighter, thief, mage, or general scholar type, and diplomat, and each of them is governed by a core statistic, and you'll be doing a little bit of everything pretty much from Jump Street. But in a nice bit of writing, each of these paths have sub-options that let you diversify, and the dialogue explores in brief how you came to be imprisoned. Hey, Kirby. No, this came out in May of this year, so about 6 months ago.
The body grew, the mind
The less said about that, the
For a
better,
while,
Kirby.
You excel.
All I'll say is, I'm glad they at least made a game out of it, but goddamn, it still hurts. But anyway, yeah, we picked the urchin background, and now we're getting varying different flavors of thief here. It's less important character-wise and more about just, like, starting bonuses, but it's also teaching you a little bit about the world. Like, for instance, lore broker over here, in the Apostatic Union, some secrets are worth more than gold. You fraternized with cultists, traded illegal tomes, and sought dangerous knowledge. If something was hidden, you could find it for a price. Yeah, this and the next choice absolutely do. In bloody business, you kept your hands clean. In pubs and markets, you built your network, mingling and scheming. Elsewhere, nefarious deeds were committed, and you were, of course, never involved. But your purse was never empty, either. So there are some dialogue options that do depend on your persuasion ability, your charm skill. But this more affects kind of the early game, as far as I can tell, than your long-term character build. But we will go with Lore Broker.
Cracks showed. Your guard slipped.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mistake was grave.
So
the
yeah.
Inquisition had your scent.
So this is some interesting writing, and then it shows how we got in here. So yeah, your line of betrayed, in your line of business, you always kept your guard up, but sometimes it's not enough. In the end, you were sold out and left for dead in a pool of your own blood. Outlaw caster, you hoarded spells and potions, many valuable, many useful, but too many. When fumbling for an invisibility spell, you accidentally opened a portal into an Inquisition ship, the worst destination possible. So in this case, you literally yeeted yourself into prison. Alright. Paranoid, you're always on the move. Turns out they were right, though. They really were hunting you, and they found you. So yeah, it's a nice bit of writing that explores how we got here. We will... I'll pick some defense. Why not? Sort of balance our stats here. Anyway. So yeah, we're in gameplay, and you can see the... Again, we're dealing with a low-poly aesthetic here, but with some modern hardware behind it. And you'll see pretty soon that it looks more like something out of Warhammer than Elder Scrolls. Like, you still have a weird, imaginative take on magic and machinery, but we're press-ganged into serving the Inquisition, and you can see this critter here looks like something that would come out of the Ordo Mechanicus. Prisoner 17, you've been marked for temporary release. The High Confessor will see you in the central chamber. Do not keep her waiting. Alright, who are you? I was a prisoner like you, but the Inquisition and its generosity has made me so much more. Cipher magic runs through my veins. My sins have been cleansed. I am a servant of the Inquisition now. Yeah, pilfer is an interesting choice of words. I mean, we are in prison, but apparently someone forgot to confiscate that guy's money. Anyway, on we go. So yeah, take a good look at this creature right here. The device lurches on unstable legs, thick blood oozing from its seams with each shuddering movement. A woman's voice, hoarse and raspy, echoes from within the device. Your services required, Prisoner 17. I am not a man. I am not a number. Yeah, I'm not a man. I am not a number. I am a person. A cackle lapses into a sputter of coughs. You forfeited the right to a name when you betrayed the apostatic union. A number is all that you deserve. But offer you the chance of penance, an opportunity to atone for your vulgar crimes. I'm the High Confessor of this Inquisition Combat Tribunal. We're tracking the most dangerous of criminals, and you will help us. Right. Okay, what's in it for me? She wheezes. You should be glad of such a righteous opportunity to serve penance, but success could bring benefits, even your freedom. So listen closely. Our target's whereabouts have been known for some time. A backwater archipelago on the very fringes of Union territory. Known as the Oneric Isles, these flying islands are host to a manor of outcasts and miscreants. We arrived a few hours ago, but met with fierce resistance. Our target is in the Blinding Light Fortress, the last remaining holdout of the Dark Star mercenaries. For our quarry is their leader, the notorious Vela Kalos. I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. Kalos? We'll just go Vela. Anyway, Vela Kalos? This is suicide! Never heard of her. Yeah, you know, we've never heard of her. Let's have her explain. She's the daughter of Admiral Kalos, groomed for command, but she set off on her own to form a war band of thieves and pirates. The Dark Stars were tolerated in the Union until Vela became enthralled with delusions of grandeur. Claimed she could create some sort of heaven. Before you go, take this Inquisition journal. Mechanical arm thrusts a peculiar device in your direction. It'll keep track of your mission. My drones can offer guidance. And closer to the blinding light, Inquisitor Ignavus can assist you further. Oh, and don't try to run. These flying islands are unstable, and many a fool has fallen to their death. So yeah, just look at this frickin' thing. Like, you can see here this Confessor is in a position of both authority and penance. They're kept alive in this thing that looks like some kind of walking Iron Maiden, forced to suffer even as they give us orders. We're going to see a lot more of this as we go, where there's a lot of weird machines that are mixtures of fantasy construction and oddly futuristic stuff. Again, giving me very much a Warhammer vibe from some of this. What's your deal, sir? Damaged doors can be broken with a weapon. There's a chest next to me. Pick up the sword, then press the inventory key. Right. A friend, exactly. Hey, Mirage, good to see you. That is indeed blood coming out of that thing. Alright, rusty sword. Ready for business. Yeet. Right. So in case it wasn't obvious, there's a big difference from Morrowind in that everything you're meant to interact with will be pretty obvious. Like the pickup item, that lockpick we just picked up, is just floating there. Your movement is quick and smooth. Enemies are relatively smart, but combat is forgiving. Like, it actually gives me kind of an Unreal vibe. Like classic Unreal, which had these big detailed worlds, but was also still very video gamey in the way it played. Anyway, we got our health potion here. May as well start giving your mobs tetanus. Anyway, So, just telling us how to work with usables. The interface is pretty straightforward. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but this is your inventory if you want to straight up use things right from there. This is your equipment, where you want to put things into quick slots. This is where they go. One interesting detail is that when you use a potion, you actually physically take a bottle out and drink it as an animation. And so do your enemies. You'll actually see them carrying items on them that they use in combat. There's a lot of nice attention to detail here. Hey, Zero, good to see you. I appreciate that. Oh, that's right, Kren's trying out new hardware. Awesome. So yeah, you can see here that's the ship we just left. This big, imposing fortress that's just flying there. The intro sets a little bit of the tone, but doesn't really explain much about the world. It mostly just says the world was shattered some time ago, and these islands are afloat through means we do not understand, but there's obviously people living on them. Anyway, here's our first other character. What do we have here? Another wretched soul caught in the Inquisition's web, no doubt. Tell me, has your High Confessor sent you off to die? Probably yes. A melancholic smile spreads across her lips. She can be terribly cruel, can't she? She gazes into the distance. Well, stranger, you'd best watch yourself out there. Mark my words, something's brewing on these islands. The stage is set, the curtains drawn, the performance is set to bring the house down. She smirks at you. Something tells me you have your own role to play. Right. Yeah, might and magic by way of Zen. Yeah, that's pretty much what we got going on here. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be some kind of slow-paced, clunky affair where combat is measured and considered, but is deceptively quick when you actually get down to it. Like, this is my sprinting speed. You can go for quite a while before you need to recharge. Hey, throwing knife. Sweet. Go ahead and equip those. Like I said, we're going to be doing a mix of things here. You'll be, regardless of what your starting options are, you'll be doing your share of lockpicking, magic use, and such. And the tutorial obviously covers the bases for each. Exactly. Throwing knives are valuable. Let's see, which was it? Right, Z switches. There we go. Alright, these are experience points. Skulls. So yeah, a glimmer of delusion. So, as you see here, this is our character sheet. These are the only things we really put points into. This is your primary means of gaining levels. In fact, it's pretty much either the experience you find in the world, or for completing quests. As far as I know, you don't really gain experience from actually killing things. And we got this weird little pillar here. We don't actually learn what this is for some time unless you... Well, I won't give it away. I will reveal it before the end of the stream, but suffice to say, you run into stuff like this throughout the world where its function is not obvious at first, and gradually you uncover the mechanics that make this thing relevant. So, like, we'll be finding more of those throughout the world, and the point is to just kind of soak in the weirdness, to just get used to the setting while the game teaches you its basic mechanics. It's a game where you're something so delusional you believe what you build yourself to be, and it's basically a wild mushroom trip. You're not actually all that far off, Kren. Yeah. They have the option that lets the textures twitch and shake, just like it was being run on an old engine or something. And it's a nice little bit of adherence to the style of running on something older. Like, say, a very late-gen PS1 game or comparable game of that era. Like, maybe mid to late 90s. But I don't know. I just didn't like how it looked in practice, so I just turned it up. Anyway, what's your story, pal? Exactly. You gain XP as a delusion, so you're probably going a tad insane. Entirely possible. Anyway, the road ahead is patrolled by Dark Star mercenaries. I strongly recommend sneaking through the mushrooms to avoid combat. Fuck yeah! Kevin's gonna be getting up close and personal with mushrooms. So yeah, it's not that I doubt your skills, Prisoner 17. I simply calculate a 3 in 5 chance you will die horribly. I like those odds. Right. Yeah, that's completely understandable. Like, I appreciate that they're able to do this much with relatively simple models and such. Like, the whole installation is, like, maybe 1.6 gigs. And coming in an era where Stalker 2 just came out, and that's something like 130, 140, I'm really starting to appreciate the efforts that some devs go to make more with less. To take a deliberately aged style and focus on the design of the game. The visual, to focus on the visuals in a design sense, an artistic sense, rather than just going for better and more detailed models. Yeah, it's straight up Baldur's Gate 3 size. Games are disgusting. Yeah, you'll have to have a terabyte drive to play a game. A game. Like you can see here, we actually have a good amount of communication being done visually. Like, we're still in a strange world with a purple sky, but you have this burned out village over here. You got these soldiers patrolling the area, dead bodies. You can easily intuit what's going on here and learn what you need to just by the context. Again, my mind goes to Unreal here. Now, it's a little less obvious, but these guys are friendlies, so we can just run up and talk to them. Yeah, compression. It's lost it now. Use it, assholes. Exactly. What are you doing here? No offense, but you better leave this to the professionals. So this guy looks like some kind of fucked up skull man, but these are soldiers of the Inquisition, so they are nominally on our side. Yep, same issue here. Hey, Droney, what do you got for me? Our agent is dying, but they may still be of use. You may have to charm them to gain their trust. The agent may take some convincing. You've been a prisoner for some time. I can no longer smell, but there's a high probability that you emit a foul stench. Success relies on your charm skill, which is derived from the persona attribute. Yep, trying to summon our persona and talk to this person. Now, I think you pass this regardless. Regardless of your charm skill. But it's just a demonstration that sometimes you'll be able to solve stuff by dialogue. Anyway, are you one of the locals? He looks you up and down in disgust. Look, just leave me be. I failed the Inquisition. I'd rather die in peace. I'm here to help. Your Inquisitor has tasked me with capturing Verticality. He lets out a weary chuckle that breaks into a cough. Oh my, I recognize you now. You're one of the prisoners. Gods, the Inquisitor must be really desperate. You know you're gonna die, right? Those bastards wiped out our whole echelon. If you insist on this fool's errand, you might find some supplies in my crashed drop pod. Follow the river upstream and you should find it by the waterfall. Look, just leave me be. I failed the Inquisition. I'd rather die in peace. Alright. Alright! We got money. Let's hustle. So yeah, follow the river upstream. Yep, I mean, you know, just got out of jail. What can I say? Something tells me the Inquisition is not exactly big on personal hygiene. Anyway. So yeah, between the low fantasy or straight up medieval weaponry that we've been equipped with and the high-tech but brutal, obviously technologically sophisticated for the time, but sort of brutalistic in design drop pods, you get a real sense that the Inquisition has resources but cares very little for aesthetics. They're all about being imposing and threatening, and they've encountered a situation where their force is not going to get them the results they want. Again, a lot of visual storytelling being done here. To progress, you must unlock this door. Right, time to pick locks. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Alright, lockpick item, yes. Governed by your guile. If attempt to fails, one of your lockpicks will break. Again, every class can make use of lockpicks. But it's more just what is your starting specialization and what do you focus on kind of in the early to mid-game. I don't know if you end up, if there's enough experience in the game world to get good at everything, but presumably you're going to be doing a mix of things, and it's more about finding using the right tool for the current job, for the task at hand. Anyway, this guy's telling us about hidden doors. In this room, the candlesticks on the wall have been enchanted to seal a secret passageway. Right. So we need lore to make use of them. Interesting. Alright. go. There doesn't seem to be in the current version. Alright. So there is some variation in character builds. Just relatively simple choices to be made as you level up. Alright. So, stats. So you'll notice there that our stamina meter has been... The maximum has been going down slightly as we progress. Eventually, rest becomes necessary. Or you have to drink a stamina potion to reset it. That's about the only physical need. You don't have to, like, eat or drink or anything. Oh, okay. So we saw this thing drop down. That's a little command post. Inquisitor Ignavius is waiting for you in the nearby Inquisition column, Prisoner 17. We strongly recommend speaking to him before wandering forth to your highly probable demise. Some really snarky drones in the service of the Inquisition. Oh, thank you, Zero. I appreciate that. Anyway, let's meet our contact, Inquisitor Ignavius, the most British man in the game. Reporting for duty, sir. As you approach, the Inquisitor takes a deep breath of air. Do you smell that, Prisoner 17? The smoke of battle? He sniffs exactly twice. I suppose there is a hint of that. But I was actually talking about, he breathes in, mushroom spores. Oh yeah, he is very British. He turns to you, a beaming smile across his face. I've never seen this many mushrooms in my life. Such wide stalks, such healthy gills. He takes a long breath. Ah, it's such potent spores. We have mushrooms for us back home in Lundell, but nothing like this. He waggles a finger at you while turning his gaze back at the mushrooms. Prisoner 17, if you get back alive, remind me to get a batch of scry shroom tea for my wife. They make it here in the Oniric Isles, and I hear it's to die for. Sure thing. He slaps you on your shoulder. That's damn good of you, prisoner. Ah, but where are my manners? Holds out his hand in greeting. Inquisitor Ignavius of the 12th Inquisitorial Tribunal. Pleased to make your acquaintance. He grips your hand with equal firmness. I see I'm in good company, prisoner. He points at the fortress ahead. That's the Blinding Light, the fortress of Vela Kalos, leader of the Dark Star mercenaries. The High Confessor told me you'd be joining the assault. Not a moment too soon. We need all the help we can get. I sent all my agents, but so far none have reported back. We expected heavy fighting, but it seems those Dark Star ruffians are a tougher bunch than we gave them credit for. Your orders are to capture Vela alive. A tall order, I'll admit. But I think you're up to the job, prisoner. Any questions? Right. How do I get there? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the mushrooms are basically trees here. It's like being in the Underdark. Except there's, except we're off the ground, basically. We're in the Overdark. Anyway, wow, you see that great big cannon looming overhead? It's part of the Blinding Light Fortress, and that's where you need to get to. Just stride into that main gate. Make sure to slay any pesky Dark Stars that get in your way. Once you're in the compound, find a lift mechanism that'll take you up to the battlements. That's where Vela's been holed up. That's the thing. It like we've been saying, it looks in that it looks in that vein, but it is definitely doing something different gameplay-wise. It's much faster, and like I said, the combat is not a dice roll. You'll see when we actually get up to murdering something. Anyway. What if I want to practice my combat skills? Well, we established a small boot camp of sorts just here. I always make sure to remind my combat echelon of the fundamentals before a tricky mission, so you'll find plenty of target dummies and tutorial signs just below. Is there a way I can avoid bloodshed? The sneaky sort, are we? Well, you're in luck. My agents reported that there's a side entrance to the right of the fortress, which leads into a maintenance tunnel of some sort. I'm sure the Dark Stars laid plenty of traps, but surely nothing you couldn't disarm with a deft hand, eh? Once you're inside, you can try to avoid detection by keeping to the walls. These old Gad War forts, a typo there, have plenty of nooks and crannies, so just, he puts a finger to his lips, keep out quiet and out of sight, yeah? Yeah, he's a mix of an extremely British gentleman and an obvious drug addict. He is very happy to be here in this land of mushrooms. Anyway, I need to know more about Vela and this mission. Yes, I'm sure you have plenty of questions. Alright, so tell me about Vela and the Dark Stars. Vela Kalos. Now there's the name that'll make hair stand on end. She's the daughter of old Admiral Kalos of the Apostatic Union Navy. But instead of following her father's footsteps, she founded the most accomplished mercenary band since the God War. Sure, she's currently the most wanted criminal in the Union. You gotta hand it to her. For years, the Union itself relied on Vela and her Dark Stars to do the jobs the Navy were unwilling, or unable, to do themselves. And it's a pity she turned down a dark path. The later years of the Dark Stars, their number of villainous deeds far exceeded those of noble intent. What of their villainy, then? Well, there was the Astral College heist in Bayonne, where they... Bayonne or Bayonne, again, pronunciation, where they made off with an artifice star, among other priceless treasures. Then there was the sinking of the merchant fighter Popinjay, and all those hostages slaughtered at the siege of Sarakolko. I could go on. Yeah. It's an interesting contrast where you're getting a lot of obvious, perhaps too obvious use of simple names, like Blinding Light, Dark Star. You're being told a story, and it's up to you. It is going to make you question how much of that is intentional and how much of that is foreshadowing. Anyway, in the end, they say she lost the plot. Started yammering about some sort of heaven. The Inquisition ruled this was tantamount to cultism. Article... God, I'm bad with my Roman numerals. I believe that's 112. Claims of a religious nature and warranted her arrest. Of course, I think the polymaths over in Ryova had wanted her gone long before all this. Got too big for her boots, and finally they had their warrant. Even Vela's own mercs got so riled up they mutinied against her. She'd been hiding out here for years, but the Inquisition finally got the go-ahead to make a move. So, here we are. Yeah, slot this dialogue into a Kingdom Hearts game, I hear yet. Anyway, what do you think about the High Confessor? Many in the Inquisition think it a travesty that a confessor, that as a prisoner still serving their penance, has been granted control of an entire tribunal. Normally, it would be the job of a High Inquisitor. Indeed, there's also the nature of her crimes and how they relate to the very criminals she's been tasked to apprehend. Personally, I think despite her quirks, she's proved herself as one of the most accomplished agents within our ranks. Alright, why are you using prisoners like me? Ah, because rigorous labor is a tonic for the ills of one's mind. We're not like some common judiciary back in Union homeland, where prisoners are thrown in a pit with a scrap of moldy bread, no matter the crime. He taps his forehead. We recognize the twisted intellect of our guests, and if we can untwist that reason with the right application of punitive employment, we will have enlightened the world just a little. We're also authorized to use any method at our disposal when a mission is going, how did they say it in Slev? Utters up. Fair enough. Again, in spite of the fact that they're working with simple character models, they're doing a reasonable job establishing character quirks in dialogue and making these people feel distinct and having a good amount to say. You don't necessarily have to dig deep into dialogue trees, and I wouldn't say that the trees themselves are especially deep in the early game, but there's a lot of information being conveyed should you wish to acquire it. Anyway, we'll go with these combat dummies real quick. So yeah, pretty standard stuff in terms of combat. You get your basic attacks, you get your heavy attacks, you can see your stamina meter depleting over there, and it recovers in time. I do like that we have these readouts over here, printing on paper what your damage is and showing how you do. Again, little bits of storytelling that show a little bit more of the world and the level of technology they're working with. And this thing is a block practice. So if we get close to it and hold like so, that basically eats into your stamina. And obviously, once your stamina is depleted, then you start taking real damage. Yeah, there is some nice work being done to give this world some character, even in the early stages. So we're going to take a rest here. Yeah, there's some really nice touches here. This is our, okay. So we get the return home scroll. And basically this is a home point. If we cast, let me equip the spell here. So yeah, right click is your spells. We hold it down, we warp back here. Pretty straightforward. See that looming fortress? It struck fear into the hearts of many who were braver and stronger than you, stranger. It was made in the God War, so the Epistatics named it Blinding Light to ridicule the gods they planned to butcher. Ironic that it should fall into the hands of someone so blinded by ambition and zeal. For Vela has claimed it in pursuit of her own twisted heaven. The Blinding Light now turns its guns towards the faithless souls who made it. Her spectral eyes glisten. Tell me, stranger, if a hated enemy stood between you and your most cherished ideal, would you strike them down? Would you have the arrogance to take a life in pursuit of your fantasy? I mean, it really kind of depends on the belief here. That's a very broad statement, and I feel like a binary answer doesn't really cover all the bases. But, we'll be a goody two-shoes just this once to say never. She smiles weakly. A kind heart is a rarity, it seems, but so far you're true to your word. Bonfire duties are actually on a different object. Oh, interesting. I fear in a world like this, such a heart will only see you dead in a gutter by the sword of someone far less scrupulous. Right. Anyway, on we go. If we take a side detour over here, I believe, yes, there's a plant we can harvest and some money. I'll take that. Look at this frickin' thing. We got, like, eyes growing off what appears to be a stalk of screaming mouths. There is some, like, really messed up stuff here. And, you know, it's a plant. So a flower shaped oddly like an eyeball can be used as an alchemy ingredient. Named after the legendary god Pagoth, the herb is well known for its healing properties and is used in medicine across the Apostatic Union. But yeah, they're not afraid to get imaginative with the designs in this game. And I think that's a big part of what helps it stand out. Crystals do thing. Oh, they restore your mana as well. Awesome. Legendary. Yeah, I suppose that's one way to use it. So yeah, as Ignavius discussed, we can go into the main entrance right there, Rusty Sword swinging. But there is a side entrance over here we can make use of as well. And here's where we'll start getting into combat. Oh yeah, there is some imagination at work. Alright, let's see if we can backstab this guy. Knife day for a walk. Ha ha! Alright. Now we're very quickly going to move on over him. This guy will face in a fair fight. Oh, he's actually got a bow. So no fair fight. Come here, you. Drop your stuff. Thank you. Yeah. We're seeing some stuff here that you would not be able to guess its function at a glance. And I think that part of that stems from the presentation and the fact that it's using a deliberately low poly appearance. Like we discussed in Faith, sometimes simplicity of graphics can be used to complement your imagination and require you to paint between the lines and sort of interpret what you're seeing and try to guess. Like, we have a purple sky, and we have this weird purple star over there, like this pinkish star. Is that our version of a sun? Is that something else? And there's a hole in the sky over there. You can actually see that right over there. So you're being invited to start speculating about the nature of the world around you while you have more immediate problems to work on. There's a lot being communicated in relatively short time. Okay, you saw right there this guy was going for his potion, so you will see equipment enemies have on them. And actually, let me go ahead and bust one out myself and see how this works. You actually have to stop and chug that down. You can do that while you're on the move as well. Again, there's some really nice attention to detail, and for a game world this weird and fantastical, there's a lot of grounded elements to it that I really like. Oh, it's an island. Okay, interesting. Alright. Don't want to spend too many lockpicks trying to get this open. Damn. Alright. Nah, we'll save those up for later. We need those to deal with traps as well. Alright, there's some more goons over there. We'll play around with throwing knives for these ones. Alright. Paradoxicus, an impossible flower that seems to shift between different shapes. It can be used as an alchemy ingredient. This herb seems to defy the very principles of reality, often appearing differently depending on how it's observed. Ah, so it's a quantum plant. Awesome. So yeah, these will eventually grow back if you need to harvest more. Anyway. Swimming and throwing knives, so we'll take this down. Oh, dang, we just got them. We just took them out before they could potion up. Alright. Nice. You'll get some throwing knives from enemies as a random drop. At first I thought you got back whatever you throw at enemies, but that doesn't appear to be the case. Although, if you do throw one out into the world and miss, you can retrieve it. Watch. Yeet. There you are. Deus Ex style, baby. Build a vehicle and fly there. Oh, Funny you mention that, Zero. If you look at the controls, you can have a little bit of a spoiler. Airship 1, Airship 2. So we are definitely flying at some point. Probably much, much later in the game, but I assume if it has a separate control scheme that you can remap, it's going to be a major element at some point. I know, right? It's just chock full of cool ideas, all while playing pretty well and having combat that is fast but manageable. Anyway, Jitter Seed, a potent seed that vibrates in one's hand, can be used as an alchemy ingredient. The volatile nature of this herb makes it ideal for restorative potions and poisons alike, so it's prized in the criminal gangs of Slev. Do 2/3 of the game before getting the airship, you need it for the remaining 1/3. Alright. Yeah, that's the... Ooh, poison, nice. Now this rather nicely applies to all your equipment. I believe that includes throwing knives as well. So any weapons you have, you don't need to specify individual weapons for your poison, which is nice. Yeah, that is the downside of this game, where I think it actually looks nice at a distance, but you do kind of see the limitations of things up close. Like you said, it's if you lose something in the environment that isn't highlighted by the particle effects and such, it can be kind of difficult to find it again. But I think it's a minor quibble, really. This is definitely giving me some Unreal vibes with the mix of technology and fantasy, though. Alright. Hey, there we go. Alright, so here's our side entrance. So you see we got a trap here. Let's see if we can disarm it. Oh yeah, they absolutely could get lost in the environment. Very tricky. Alright. Huh. I wonder, can we jump this? Let's find out. Ooh, I think we can. Nice! Outstanding. This is very much a game where you are encouraged to flex that ImSim brain. It's not quite as open as something like Deus Ex, obviously, but you'd be surprised what the game lets you do, and there is fall damage, but it's not nearly as punishing as you'd expect, so a tumble off a cliff isn't necessarily fatal. Keep that in mind when we get out of the castle here. Alright, that's barred from the other side, so we gotta take the air vent. Naturally. Alright, so we got a big room down there filled with stuff. And you can see some guards going around. And this will be our proper way down. If you yeet yourself off an island, you usually have enough time to recall to safety. Yeah. Your spell... Your return spell also acts as a backstop in the event that you do make an unfortunate plummet. Although, it's not necessarily a game over if you do. Like I said, if I don't die naturally, we will yeet ourselves and I will show you what happens. Anyway, skull! Did we level up? Not quite. One more should do it, though. Assortment of maps, notes, and diagrams clutter the table, detailing the planned exploits of the Dark Star mercenaries. One in particular catches your eye. An expedition to the Cursed Underlands, far below the Sky Realms. So yeah, the flying islands aren't the only components of this world. There is still an actual normal-ass planet below us, but that's not where we are right now. Okay, old contraptions. You recognize the old machines are God War relics, inoperable and mostly useless. Such strange contraptions are rarely seen outside the Clockwork Kingdom these days. Unreal Tournament are now preserved on the Internet Archive. Oh, I did not hear that. That's actually really cool. So yeah, we could nap here if we wanted to, but there'd be a risk of us getting bugged in our sleep. The one time I tried that, it was lightly punitive. They only took some gold. They were a surprisingly restrained bugger. But, I assume, given the stakes, we want to avoid that for now. But yeah, that's actually really cool. I am thoroughly in favor of games archival. Oh, okay, there's a guy right there. Let's get behind him. Easy does it. Ooh. Alright, went that way. You know what? Let's just leave him be. Can't open that. One breakable box unbroken. Oh, that will not stand. Hang on a second. Now we will murder. Yes! Get wrecked, fool. Breakable box. I require loot. There you are. Yes! Lockpick. We need that. Exactly. If video games have taught me anything, it's that barrels that do not explode contain... things that do not explode contain loot, and you should break them anyway. Anyway, up we go. There we go. There's some monster energy. We're good to go. Alright, so you saw that this looks like an interesting landmark. We'll find out more on that later, but this game has a light cartography element in that maps are only they're only updated once you have a certain item on hand. And we kind of want to do that quest early, but we got to deal with this first. No, you don't. Alright. So there's a door right over here, but I imagine there's going to be more guys patrolling, so we'll want to keep a low profile. Oh! I think we got some help from above. Nice. Arrows. Pity we don't have a bow, but one problem at a time. Alright. So we can sneak in through here. Okay, so it's not guarded at all. Nice. Alright. So this is kind of interesting. You see we've got a flying ship up there that's mounted on some kind of dock. So again, we're having that interesting mix of typical fantasy elements. Hey, iron ore. Nice. We'll be using that for upgrades. With implied or explicit demonstrations of technology. Like, these things here are actually spent ammunition from the God War, or possibly unused ammunition, and the cannons on this fortress were actually being built to fire at gods. So it's kind of giving you the level of where society has been before and where we've fallen to now. Called ammunition, not arrows, and then a picture. The picture presents both a quiver, arrows, and a baggie of bullets. Oh, okay. So we are going to get different kinds of ranged weaponry. Nice. Yeah, actually, that's actually a good comparison. They do kind of remind me of the headcrab launchers. Ah, damn. Alright. That's going to be pretty difficult to do without burning the rest of our lockpicks. Let's see if we can find another way up. Hopefully it's not that punitive. But we shall see. I believe if we go through here... Door's barred from the other side. No, that's not it. Let's see if we can find a way up. Oh, hey, more lockpicks. Actually, damn, I probably could. No, I probably couldn't have. Never mind. I wonder, can I climb up these things? Oh, hang on a second. I see this. Aha! Perfect. Well, let's either try to lockpick or deal with these guys, and we've been doing alright keeping it quiet so far. Ah! Famous last words. Yeah, eat throwing knives. Oh, damn, this guy's got a shield. Okay. So, yeah. Shield guys are pretty tricky. You kind of need to time it so their guard is down. It's not a... The model is not necessarily indicative of whether their guard is up. You basically... It doesn't really... It doesn't exactly matter if you hit around the shield. It's more if they have their shield facing forward in defensive position, they're assumed to be defending. But if we can bait them into swinging and then parry, I think we can get past them. Ah! Ah! Damn it! So, kind of clever there. He looked like he was going to swing, but then saw I was parrying. Hey, there we go. Alright, so we were able to get around the shield. So if you do hit him from the back in combat, you can outmaneuver him. That will get around a shield that way. What I was stumbling at explaining was that it's not necessarily if you hit around the shield from the front, but if you hit him when his guard is down, which is sort of indicated by the animation, or if you can hit from the sides, then that registers as getting past the shield. Alright. Hey, treasure chests. Ooh, leucosic bomb. A vial of fine white powder distilled through alchemical processes. Extremely volatile, the flask will explode on impact when thrown. Fuck yeah! We are so equipping that. Give me my Bernie powder. Yes! Actually, might as well equip the rest of this. Beautiful. Nope. Wrong button. There we go. Actually, we'll probably want to save that. I think most of the fights are done with at this point. Maybe one or two stragglers, but for the most part, we don't have anything serious to worry about. Exactly. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Alright. Hey, you look important. Velicalo stands with gravitas, her voice piercing the clatter of the ship. You notice blood seeps from her armor. She's wounded, but hides it well. Loose the sails. Now, why is the anti-grav engine not running? Suddenly, you catch her eye. What's this, a straggler? The Darkstar Company greets you. My apologies, but you caught us at a rather inopportune moment. Okay, so we have some options here. Velicalos, I've come to apprehend you in the name of the Inquisition. I've just escaped from an Inquisition prison. Can I join you? You know, why not? Let's see where this crazy train goes. She looks you up and down, smirking. I mean, no offense, but the Darkstar Company has certain standards. You don't fit the bill. Fair enough. Prepare yourself, straggler. Great deeds are afoot. Deeds that will bring the apostatic union's tyranny to an end, and that will usher in a new age of heaven. And with that, we must take our leave. It's been a pleasure, but I doubt we'll meet again. And off they go. Damnation! See, if y'all had equipped me with a bow and arrow, I could at least take a shot while she's getting out of here, but yeah, what can you do? Alright. Now, the Inquisition has kindly caught up to us. Great job, people. Nice hustle. Nobody go out there after the slowly escaping airship or anything. I know, right? Savage. Oh, it's you. The High Confessor wants to speak with you, up on the platform. He mutters under his breath, that what she sees in a wretched prisoner is beyond me. Yep. You know, I'm the only one doing any frickin' work around here. Y'all got pantsed by a bunch of, like, starter enemies. Don't give me no shit. Anyway, hey, High Conf, what's going on? The High Confessor is giving orders to the agents around her, pointing with her mechanical limbs and shouting between bouts of coughing. Eventually, she notices you. Ah, prisoner 17, wasn't it? Our drones have been tracking you. Seems that Vela has escaped. I played your little game. Will you let me be free? The device shifts ominously toward you. Need I remind you, prisoner, that your sentence remains unfulfilled? We must ascertain where Vela has fled to. Luckily for us, I know just who we can ask. She laughs to herself, but this turns to a pained series of retches. After a moment, you think she may have vomited. Oh, Jesus Christ, look at the inside of that goddamn thing. Yeah, you can see there's just basically a skeleton in there. Whatever is keeping her alive, it is keeping her in an ungodly state of agony. Anyway, the Oneric Isles are home to a number of former Darkstar mercenaries. My superiors would rather I executed them, but she's silent for a moment. They are of more use to us alive. If anyone knows where Vela went, they will. I would start with Jack Basalt, a former Navy captain turned sellsword. We've already contacted him and arranged a meeting. You can find him at the Wobbly Noggin pub in Hallowtown, at the center of the Oneric Isles. Basalt has promised to direct us toward his comrades in exchange for the polymath's pardon. He can help you find the others. Okay. Which way is it to Hallowtown? Follow the road south. through the village of Quill, and cross the gate bridge. You know we're in a fantasy world where they manage to spell things with, like, no vowels except the Y. Anyway, this should get you to Hallowshire. You will need to acquire an Apostatic Union passport to cross the bridge. I wish I could grant you one myself, but we are undersupplied. Yeah, bureaucracy, I hear ya. Perhaps the locals of the village of Quill could help you. Alright, why me of all your agents? The Dark Stars, excuse me, are deeply mistrustful of the Inquisition. You don't say. We've had a few run-ins in the past. As our newest and most amenable operatives, was one of our newest and most amenable operatives, you may have better luck than another of my agents. Puil is actually a real-world word. Interesting. I did not know that. What does it mean? Anyway, be careful. These islands are in the very fringe of Apostatic Union territory. There may be worshippers, or even minor gods who have fled the Union's purges tucked away here. The only assuredly faithless place is Hallowtown. And beyond Hallowshire's borders, there is ground even Union boots won't tread upon. To the east, the Clockwork Kingdom is in full-blown crisis, while the people of the Endless Realm to the west are cursed to never die. My tribunal will establish a command post in this fortress, the Blinding Light. Return here to recuperate if you wish. Oh, and one more thing. From now on, you'll be known as Confessor 17. This doesn't change your crimes or your sentence, but sounds a little better than prisoner, eh? Remember that her rank is High Confessor, so again, we're mixing a combination of service and penance for what we've done. Anyway, I have some questions. Alright. So what's with this fortress? Its name is the Blinding Light. It was a God War fortress some 40 years ago. A marvel of Cardovan engineering. That giant cannon blasted void steel spears through the heart of many a god. So those are those things we saw down below. At the height of the Dark Star's infamy, Velicalos procured this fortress, restored it from a heap of scrap. For the past few years, since the Dark Stars mutinied against one another, Vela has been hiding here. Believe it or not, I have been here before, long ago. It is strange to be back. Why are you in that metal coffin? You are not the only member of this tribunal to have betrayed the Apostatic Union. In my former life, I committed heinous crimes. She lets out a metallic sigh. Unlicensed spell weaving, conversing with gods, abetting armed conflict. I can go on. It's Welsh for wisdom, though also a Welsh mythological figure. Interesting. Alright. This iron coffin is an honor, a privilege. The pain it delivers, the exquisite torment, sharpens my reason. And it was specially designed to insulate my mind, lest I hear the gods' cruel whispers and forget my penance. Alright. Very well, Confessor. Alright. Now, the good gentleman Ignavius also joined us up here. Ah, Confessor 17. I just knew you'd survive the assault. The drones were all but certain you'd meet a gruesome end, but you sure showed them, eh? Right. About the mission. Ah, yes, what about it? Let's see. I think these are all questions we've asked before. Let's see. About the tea you wanted. What was that tea again? Yes, Scryshroom tea for my wife. They make it here at Quill Village, just south down the road from the Blinding Light Fortress. Alright. Let's see. I have questions about the Sky Realms. Let's see. Tell me about the Oniric Isles. Well, the Oniric Isles are the archipelago we're on now. It's always been at the fringe of Union territory. It's only recently had a regional council installed in Hallowshire. There are also islands outside of the Union control. To the east lies the Clockwork Kingdom, ruled by a machine monarch, while to the west lies a rather frightful place of undying souls known as the Endless Realm. And I think that paper over there dropped an illustration for on command. Anyway, let's see. Tell me about Hallowshire. Well, Hallowshire has technically been under Union control since the God War. It's been somewhat neglected recently. Yeah, it just dropped a piece of paper off there. Nice. That means there's still cultists lurking in the hills, not yet flushed out. There are even whispers of gods lurking in the nasty nooks and crannies. But no need to worry. A Union Council member has just been built in Hallowtown, and this place now has its very own polymath. With such an esteemed education, she'll have this place sorted out in no time. Alright, how about the Clockwork Kingdom? Well, the less said about that place, the better. It used to be known as Cardova. During the God War, they aided the Apostatics in overthrowing the Wiccans and their gods. They even made the Blinding Light Fortress, as well as many other war machines. They always were a little big for their boots. Despite having the best alchemists and aetherists in Sky Realms, they got the mad notion of making some magical utopia, where every foolish peasant could cast a spell. Utter nonsense, I say. Only, for a while it seemed like the buggers actually got it to work. The stuff that was coming out of the newly formed Clockwork Kingdom was making even the erudite Academy scholars blush with envy. At least, until their mechanical king went mad and threw the whole place into chaos. Now it's a frozen wasteland full of malfunctioning robots and rotting crops. Which is a damn shame, because there was a lovely little tea house in Ferropolis that my wife adored. Ah, well. Again, this guy is British as hell, and I kind of like him. Anyway, what about the Endless Realm? Did you ever hear the stories of the Cadaver Crusaders? Led by those nasty ghouls that plundered the living to eat their flesh? He visibly shivers. Well, turns out those weren't just stories. Those monsters actually exist, and have a little kingdom right over yonder, ruled by the so-called Queen of Silver. I tell you, I couldn't make it up. Last I heard, they packed in all that flesh-eating business, and started farming some sort of mindless meat. Fancy that, ghouls with a conscience. Alright, what island are we on now? Oh, this little isle is known as Quill. Just a handful of mushroom farmers here, really, but its remote location has always made it a haven for smugglers and pirates. Clockwork tea is a unique, one-of-a-kind item. Oh yeah, I'll bet he'll want a taste of that. Anyway, perhaps that's why Vela came here to lick her wounds after the Dark Star mutiny. Oop, Dark Star, I see that typo. Alright, that's all I want to know. I think we're ready to go. Now, in case you're wondering, the game won't let you attack anyone you're not meant to. Like, we can swing all day at this person and it won't bother them at all. So again, it is an open-world RPG, but not the sort where you can just off important NPCs unless you've gotten yourself into a combat state through dialogue. It's more in the world itself where your options open up. The freedom to explore as soon as we get out of the fortress, tackle varying objectives, and explore different regions, kind of at your own pace. Anyway, oh, you again. Nope, we got a home point. Nice. Vela spent countless nights here, hunched at her desk by the light of the candle. While the rest of her crew slept, she would pore over sky charts and scour old tomes for shreds of arcane knowledge. Back then, when I was flesh and blood, I thought she was driven by a pure desire to carve out a better world. So there was a nice little bit of direction over there. You could actually see the ghost looking in the direction of the desk, and then she turned to look at us when she was actually speaking to us. But in the time I came to think of her as little more than a frightened girl, trying to fix something broken inside of her. For there is a thorn in Vela's heart that she cannot remove. Sometimes its maddening scratch pushes her to greatness. Other times it twists her to cruelty and barbarism. The ghost looks into your eyes. Listen, stranger. Whether you wish it or not, you will cross paths with Vela. I see it clear as day. What will happen next is a tangle of infinite possibilities. A dark void that swallows any attempted foresight. If you wish to understand what the woman your fate is bound to, seek an old manor that drifts on the northeastern edge of Hallowshire. I'll meet you there. Right. Ooh, Entice. This oddity of a spell draws upon the caster's force of personality, rather than their arcane knowledge, to sway erstwhile enemies to their side. Interesting. Alright, so we have a charm spell. Sweet. I think now that we control this place, we can safely rest here. But I do remember my first run-through. After Vela escaped, but before I talked to the Inquisition, I slept here and somehow got robbed. So let's take a quick nap. Motherfucker! Okay. You wake up groggy and notice something is amiss. The buggings are actually completely random. Oh, dang. Yes, there's no doubt. Someone has been here while you were asleep. Fortunately, most of your gear was well hidden, but the thieves have stolen some coin. Of course, the Inquisition can't afford security here. Now, from the dialogue, or from the prompts and such, you can actually fix this place up, and I assume unlock additional functionality as your base. But I do find it funny that that our setup is right here, and somehow a thief got in. You can also get mugged while inside of a safe room. I think I'll go wishlist, already wishlisted. Well then, oh yeah, I know that feeling. Anyway, since we did complete a quest, we do have an actual point to spend here. So, let's see. Might, Guile, Wisdom, Persona. You know, we'll bump up Persona. We're gonna want some Charm. With some ability to talk to people. But anyway, we can now skedaddle on out of here. First player property. Nice. See, I kind of like it when A player housing has some in-game justification besides the protagonist just bought a house. Like, you're a member of an organization, and this is a thing you're going to be putting resources in, rather than just a thing to spend money on. I mean, it can still be fun to have a house and build it up however you want, but I like it when there is some purpose to the player having personal space. Exactly, when we reach rank 5 of Persona, we can steal hearts. Quite. Now, this character over here is surprisingly important because he's going to tell us how cartography works. Tell us where we can find someone that can teach us cartography. So what's all that commotion over yonder? I appear to be quite lost. There are also faction-based lodging, too. Nice, nice. I bought a map of these Oneric Isles back in Ryova, but it seems to be decades out of date. That's the trouble with these fringe islands. Every few decades they've floated into different positions. Take my advice, traveler. If you're looking to explore, make sure you find an accurate map. Alright, where can I find a map? Well, I noticed that the Erudite Academy is flying over Hallowshire to the south of here. Can you see it up there in the sky? It travels all over the Epistatic Union, so I've heard. I met one of their scholars in a red tent in the forest underneath Quill Village, though I've seen them in other places too. Believe it or not, they're working on a map of the region right now, only it's not quite ready. Still, I'd try asking them. Worth a shot, right? Where are you trying to get to? Oh, I'm trying to get to the Endless Realm. It's said to be a place where people never die, even though the flesh peels from their bones. Yeah, buy lots of bait for the map fish. Quite. As a boy, my mother would scare me with tales of the Cadaver Crusades, when the Endless would hunt the living and feast on their still warm bodies. It would scare me witless, but still, I've always dreamed of going there someday. Okay, this guy is, concerning. On the one hand, he's taught to fear, like, these corpse knights that go around and eat the living, but on the other hand, he's thought it'd be a nice place to retire. Anyway, yeah, I have it on good authority that they've reformed their ways. They only eat non-sentient meat and are on good terms with the Epistatic Union. So I said to myself, what do I have to lose? Well, I suppose they could still eat me. God. This man is not long for this world. Anyway, this is important because it gives us a goal. Other than going to Quill Village on our way to somewhere important, we have to find a red tent out in the Mushroom Forest. So let's get exploring. Now again, this is very much a game where landmarks off in the distance are things you will eventually explore. You can see that giant castle over there with a floating monster overhead. We will assuredly make our way over there at some point. Drink time. Alright. There we go. But yeah, as I was discussing, mapping is not automatic. You kind of need a quest to unlock cartography, and in that quest you get a tool to unlock points of interest. Oh, we got hostiles. Oh boy. Weird little frog things here that sort of serve as this game's goblins. Basic sentient critters that use weapons but are still kind of unpleasant. This dude over here spits some sort of homing projectile at us. Ah! Let's see, gotta get around it. Just coffee. Alright. There we go. Down goes Froggy. Alright. So yeah, we are actually beneath Quill, which is on that island kind of above us. And it is an interesting... They really make good use of verticality in this game and really make the most out of the concept of gameplay on floating islands and such. It's not like they move in gameplay, at least not that I've seen so far, but they very much explore the idea of land under land, or overland. And you very much find that often the quickest way to get somewhere is to take a leap of faith and plummet to not quite your doom. Anyway, I believe this is the gentleman with the cartography book. I love this run speed. Pardon me, sir. Just gonna take your money here. Scholar has one eye pressed to his looking glass. As you approach, he squints, takes a deep breath, and is suddenly still. You okay? He sneezes. As the scholar sneezes, he sprays a thick globule of mucus over his looking glass lens. He wipes his face and looks perturbed. These bloody mushroom spores. Why did I have to be sent to Quill of all places to make this damn map? Right. Can I ask you some questions? By all means. Can you tell me about this island? He swallows and rubs his bloodshot eyes. You mean Quill? Well, it's the northernmost island of these Oneric Isles. The local Neuron star that orbits all these islands every 12 hours or so is brightest when it passes Quill. Decades ago, the locals had a particularly nasty god, which meant they were more than willing to take up arms in the God War. His place became a front line in the fighting, so there are so many old fortresses about. Of course, when the war ended, it went back to being a sleepy sort of place. Though it's technically part of the Epistatic Union, you'll find that few in the Heartlands have really heard of Quill, unless they're particularly fond of the scry shroom tea they make here. Hey, there we go. Ignavius is our man there. But anyway, if you want to meet the locals yourself, I'd head up to Quill Village above us. But if you'd rather be in civilization, and I wouldn't blame you, take the road north to Hallowshire, where the Epistatic Union has a larger presence. More than anything, as I'm sure you've noticed, Quill is covered in blooming mushrooms. The spores stick to your clothes, they get in your hair, your nose. It's enough to make anyone. He pauses and suddenly becomes very still. Think I'm going to sneeze. Alright, where's this academy you mentioned? Erudite Academy? It's only the most esteemed academic institution in the Union. You can see it, up there in the sky. It's a flying island that travels around the Epistatic Union, where it's needed the most. Oh, that might have been the, thing that I thought was a hole in the sky. Alright. He's been stationed on these Oneric Isles for the past year or so. There's an elevator platform that will take you to the island. You can't get in without a recommendation for a scholar like myself. Alright. Can I get a copy of your map? Look, I don't have time to pander to your every want. The chief cartographer needs this urgently. They turn to look at you, then pause as if realizing something. Actually, you know what? Maybe you can have a copy, as long as you're willing to work for it. I can do that. What do you need? Excuse me? We're making a new kind of map. A magical map that tracks the shifting movements of these islands and corrects itself. The real work is with the cipher spell we're weaving together, but I need someone to go out and anchor the spell to specific landmarks. Take this cartography notebook. When you get to a landmark, equip it, use it, to make a cipher chart. The map will show up in your journal. If you obtain a compass, you'll be able to see yourself in the map, too. There are 4 scholars working on this map, including myself. Together we cover Hallowshire, the Endless Realm, the Clockwork Kingdom, and Quill. You should also visit my colleagues to see what landmarks they need. The most important region we need mapping is Hallowshire. I'll note these locations in your log, as I'm sure whoever marks them will be rewarded. Alright, so what landmarks do you need for this region? Alright, well the first one I was supposed to chart was the old God War fortress over there called the Blinding Light. Only I heard it's infested with pirates and smugglers, so I was going to wait until I felt better. Then there's another fortress at the southeast of that island, but have you seen the huge creature that's floating above it? No, that one will have to wait. And finally there's the Sacred Shroom, as the locals call it, to the northwest. Only, that's the largest mushroom I've ever seen, so it would surely destroy my sinuses. Right. So is there any reward? Well, you get access to the map itself, but I suppose we can throw in a few coins with each cipher chart, too. If you manage to map the Hallowshire region, I'll consider giving you a recommendation to the Erudite Academy. You see it flying up there in the sky? Being allowed access is a real privilege, believe me. Right. Alright, so, now we got our cartography thingy. So, if we do this, warp on back to our last home point. Oh. I forgot to tag in. Go figure. Well, back in we go. This will actually give us a chance to collect the loot we missed from the direct approach. No harm in having extra stamina potions. You don't need to rest that often, but it's always good to have at least a few when you're going to be in the field for a while. Exactly, yeah. Oh, beer! Fuck yeah. A mug full of frothy beer. Beer is cheap in the Skylands, mostly derived from fermented mushroom pulp. It's exported to the far corners of the Epistatic Union. So yeah, like in the Metro 2033-2034 books, or universe, I should say, we have mushroom beer. Kick ass. Actually, I'm gonna equip that. The area around landmarks is pretty generous. You don't have to be dead on a thing. Usually, yeah, here we go. Looks like an interesting landmark. Cartography cipher chart. Here we go. Now, finally, we have a map we can work with. Although not necessarily a location. So, yeah, you actually see the physical map that we scroll around, and here's where we are. Now, you need a compass to get your specific location. You can see here there's Vela's Fortress. I believe Quill is the town north of us. You can see little points of interest there along the way. And you're getting a sense for what you're going to have to do to chart out the regions. And until you do start hitting those landmarks, it is important that you need to learn your way. It is important to learn your way around. And that's kind of the vibe this game is giving me, where it is forgiving in the minute-to-minute rhythm of play. Combat isn't too punishing, and the simple character builds mean your decisions are largely about what tactics to use in the moment, but it also doesn't hold you by the hand in the sense of an obvious objective pointing you to where you need... an objective marker pointing you to where you need to go. This is very much a game where you need to explore. You need to learn the lay of the land. You need to find out what is at each of these obvious points of interest and figure a way through there without having every step of the way being explained to you. This is a game that encourages you to get out there and find things out. And I very much appreciate that. Especially because, like I said, it's not terribly punishing in terms of its actual gameplay. Quill is south. Alright. That's the other thing. Without a compass, north and south are very relative directions. I assume that we're still doing some kind of using the sun to figure out, or that, using that to figure out cardinal directions. But we are on an alien world. Oh, not gonna forget that twice. Yeah, you're directed based on stuff like go northeast from this named place. Yeah, I kind of like that. And I think that works well given the conceit of being in this strange fantasy world. I see that. We got dragons, or some dragon-adjacent creature. That is assuredly gonna fly down and fuck up our shit. So all we have to do is get close enough. But yeah, it's not a... From what I can tell, it's not trying to be an absolutely colossal world in terms of real estate, but it's doing its best to make that world feel tailored and unique. Where you're not just going through a lot of the same terrain over and over again. Everything feels purposeful. And still large enough to encourage exploration without requiring a long stretch of time in travel. Yeah, it's dense is the thing. There's more going on in... there's more going on in a relatively... Ooh, hey, here we go. Here we go. Sort of tripping over my tongue here, but basically, they pack a lot into a world that might not be as massive as your average open-world RPG, but there's still also a lot of ground to cover. And it encourages you to explore every inch of it. Anyway, Death's Veil. Legendary mushroom with potent alchemical potential. If a traveler becomes cursed in the Underlands, their corpse may become host to this fungi. It is said the properties of this herb can change based on the personality of the deceased host. Kick ass. We got brain plants. But yeah, it's a world big enough to get lost in, but not so massive that you can't find your way again if you look around and remember where stuff is. Anyway, let's make our way up to Quill here. We'll do a little bit more. Yeah, totally not an infested brain. Hey, yep, I see that. Sweet. Alright. Right, so that's the village of Quill over there. You're right, that is south. Okay. So, we are on the south end of the fortress. Anyway, you, sir, exposit to me. The youth looks at you with caution, wide eyes lodged in a gaunt face. Oh, a newcomer. Welcome to Quill Village. My name is Lud. Were you involved in that commotion over at the old fort? Let's see. I think we gotta keep a low profile here. I'm just passing through. I won't cause you any trouble. The boy's shoulders slacken and he looks genuinely relieved. Oh, okay. I can tell you a little about our town if you like. We're just a humble village. Have you heard of skyships? It's a mushroom that shows you the future. We grow it and sell it. Only, things aren't going well lately. People are worried. What's going wrong exactly? Well, the crop yield is bad. Every year we've been getting less skyships. Some people are getting worried. He looks around and leans in closer. I've heard some people are considering the old ways. His eyes are practically bulging. You know, consorting with Wiccans and gods. So what? Well, we're part of the Apostatic Union, see? So god worship is very illegal. Anyway, the local Waymaster Kolwick has gotten pretty spooked by it all. He's weighing everyone who comes by just to make sure they're not a Wiccan. Okay, I guess that's something you can tell by their weight. My mother Olwen, she's the mayor, by the way, doesn't seem too bothered by it all. Don't worry, Ivory. We'll find the ones we missed last time and kill them too. She's much too worried about something else. I've heard her mumbling about some sort of monster lately. Oh, I'm sorry. I do tend to waffle, don't I? Is there anything you'd like to know? Can you point me around town? I suppose so. Just in town, you'll find the Way House. The Waymaster Kolwick, he's pretty respected around here. Nearby is a skyships company, which sells skyships, of course, and other things. Further up the hill is the mayor's house. So my mother, the mayor, lives. She sometimes has work going. And further up is the old sacred shroom, only it's dead. Ah, that'd be that big tilted one in the background, the red one. So what does the Waymaster do? Oh, Kolwick? He's pretty important. He went to Riova, the capital city of the Apostatic Union. That's really far away to get certified as a Waymaster. He weighs things for merchants and buyers to make sure the price is fair. Might not seem like much, but for a small town like us, means you can trade with realms like Venna, Bion, again, and Lundell. But he also weighs people. Lately he's been real worried about Wiccan sympathizers, and he has magic cipher scales that can tell if you're evil. Okay, so he has detect evil. Alright. He's not weighed me, though, because he doesn't think I'm tough enough to be a criminal. Alright. Tell me about the skyships company. Yeah, it's run by Dwin, whose family's been growing skyships for generations. Without his company, the town wouldn't really exist. Mushrooms are kind of all there is around here. Mother won't let me drink the skyships tea, even though she does all the time. She says it's too intense. They have to be a responsible adult to see the future. I don't see the big deal, though. She mostly just hallucinates about having a bigger garden. Oh yeah, these people are totally just getting wasted on shroom stuff. Why is the sacred shroom dead? Oh, that's because Kolwick killed her god, of course. Would you care to elaborate? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot not everyone knows about it. Our old god was Angwin, and he was really mean. Like, he wanted people to sacrifice themselves with the sacred shrooms to make the skyships grow good. I see. Alright. I think we might have skipped over a line there. Anyway, we'll have a look around here, and then we'll call it. But yeah, starting to get the thrust of the adventure here. We have a fairly conventional objective, that we're trying to find a lieutenant of the criminal we're pursuing, but in a very unconventional world that is going to have a lot going on. But again, some nice attention to detail. You've got the wind chimes over there. Stores, lots of little knickknacks around. Again, this isn't a world where where every item has some physical weight or significance, but there is good design given the relatively simple engine to tell you what a place is, what its function is. And there's been some pretty good character writing as well. The characters tend to have strong voices in writing and sound distinct from another, which isn't easy to do. Ah, welcome, welcome. Pull up a stool. If you're looking for skyships, you've come to the right place. You know what a skyships does, newcomer? Yes. Then you've heard it shows you the future. But see, that puts some folk off, because they're scared of what they might see. I'm here to tell you it ain't like that. There ain't no cipher spell in the great library of Bion that can do what the skyships does. It plunges you to the river of time, so you can see the bends and currents rushing towards you. You know how I grew this business? Not with luck, my friend. Oh no. I used the humble skyships to outsmart my rivals. Now my company ships into every corner of the Apostatic Union. Oh, it's running in Unity. Oh, right. I did see the Unity logo and splash screen. Right, you only pick up meaningful items. There's no trash, there's no vendor junk you sell. You don't have to craft things. I mean, you do get resources, but they go more into upgrading your home base than in stuff you use to make potions on the fly or weapons on the fly. Anyway, do these visions always come true? Well, now I can't say they're always right. The future can be changed, see? And it won't be held accountable for any foolishness or failures you get into after you use them. Alright, what are you selling? That's what I like to hear. Got a pot of skyships tea in the brew. Got a few other odds and ends if you're hankering for supplies. Right. See what you have for sale. Alright. We got some cash here. Oh. Compass, absolutely useful. Let's get that. Okay, so there is an alchemy system. Alright. Potions you make can be pretty potent. No, that's fair enough. Alright, we do want some scryshroom tea from a man Ignavius. Actually, you know what? We will take 2 of them. One for him, one for us. But yeah, you can see we're dealing with a very constrained inventory system, where the things you pick up are going to have simple, obvious uses, and there's not going to be a lot of inventory bloat. And I think that's a respectable decision for an RPG to make. It's very much focused on the world and creating an imaginative setting, and the way you move through it and interact with and deal with other people, rather than the complexities of gameplay itself. Skyshroom tea buffs lore. Alright. You know, let's take a drink. Bottoms up. Ah! You were feeling mildly tipsy. Awesome. Oh yeah, we drunk fighting now. In fact, you know what? Let's follow it up with some actual liquor. Down the hatch. Oh yeah. You are extremely plastered. Achievement. Over the limit. Have one too many. I'm alright. I'm alright. Just gonna wander into this house. You, blurry, nondescript person thing. We'll cast you in a different gaze. Greetings, traveler. Welcome to the Quill Port of the Winged Merchants Guild. Local harbor master. How can I help you? Ooh, how can I get my own airship? What, you think we just hand them out to bright-eyed travelers? Takes a lot of coin to buy a sailing vessel, you know. Most Union merchants only have shares of the ships they use. Plus, even if you had a bulging coin purse under those fine garments you're wearing, these days you need a writ of permission from the Riovan Port Authority. And trust me, you're not going to find one of those lying around here in the sticks. Alright, fair enough. I'll take my business elsewhere, thank you very much. Alright, what I think I'll do is I will run up, tag that there mushroom, run back, deliver some tea to Ignavius, and then show one quick thing before we call it here. Feeling sober, you think. Again, there's a lot of really... Let's see, can I use this? No landmarks nearby to mark in your chart. Maybe that's not the mushroom. Maybe that's not the mushroom I'm thinking of. Alright. Look down at the crack in the floor. Oop. Ports are more useful in the end-game. Yeah, I imagine that's after you've got... Oh! Oh! Breaky, breaky! Oh, bother. Oh! There's something down there. Huh, can we break that? Don't think so. There might be a way down, however. Is there anything behind this waterfall? No. Damn it. I've been promised adventure, and by God, I will find it. Oh, actually, loads of hidden things everywhere in this game, but oddly, mostly not behind waterfalls. Fair enough. Ah, here we go. Yeah, I feel like that's a thing we need to make happen in reality. Doors shut tight, huh? Like, I think the U.S. Geological Survey has to go out and carve room behind waterfalls and put stuff back there for people to find. Just instill a little wonder in the world. But yeah, this gets back to what I was talking about with verticality. This is very much a game that makes full use of three-dimensional space to build up and around and encourage you to think laterally as you navigate through the world. And I really do appreciate both the visual aesthetic it's going for and the mechanical impacts that its design has on gameplay. It's just a very well-designed game all around. Anyway, I think what I will do... So unfortunately I tagged the home point in here. I'm going to run back to the fortress. I'm going to give Ignavius his tea. Then we will show one last thing before I call it. Hey, buddy! Brought a spot of tea, Governor. About the tea you wanted. Oh, was that to you again? Scry shroom tea, huh? How do I hand this to you? Bro, I've got your tea right here. Do I have to... Oh, it's the middle option. Oh, about the mission. No, not that. Is that the tea you wanted? What was that tea again? Quite possibly. I believe we have hit a bug. Damnation, I have been denied satisfaction. This will not stand. Yeah, you know what? We'll take a rest. Excuse me, sir. Is it tea time now? Huh. You know what? Hang on a second. I am going to run back to town. I will buy one more dose of tea. We'll see if me drinking one confuse the game. There we go. It's difficult to convey just playing it, but there's a lot about this game that just feels good to play. Like the way combat feels, the way navigation, exploration, it's very light in terms of its physics, basically. And again, it's a game that's more focused on the... It's more focused on you exploring the world than about having a detailed and complicated combat system. It's good enough. It is... The gameplay is no more complex than it needs to be. And in a way, I'd say this is a game that has removed a lot of the chaff from your typical RPG and focused on the essentials of the experience. It's the fraction of the run speed you can achieve later on in the game. That's awesome. Alright. Here we go. Ah, Confessor. This is exactly what I was looking for. How thoughtful of you. He removes from his belt a tiny metal teapot. He slips some loose tea in the filter, and to your surprise, you notice it already contains boiling water. If you'd be so kind as to wait a moment, Confessor, I really must let this brew. You wait for an uncomfortable few minutes, in total silence, while the Inquisitor stares at his miniature teapot. Finally, he seems satisfied. He pours the liquid into a cup and takes a sip. He frowns, and is silent for a moment. Confessor, this is... excuse me. Damn fine tea! I've tried an extraordinary number of teas in my time, and this is one of the best. My wife is going to love it. Please take this in recompense. Beads of sweat appear on the Inquisitor's forehead, and he seems to be staring at something only he can see. He mutters to himself, "Damn fine tea, indeed." I choose to believe that's a Twin Peaks reference. That's awesome. I love this guy. Alright. So yeah, that's Dread Delusion. I really like this so far. The visuals are something of an acquired taste, but there's a lot to like with its creative world building, and it's just layered onto really solid gameplay. Problem with the combat system is it's too easy, or was too easy. Yeah, that's why you have the hard mode. So playing at 1.0, I've managed to feel challenged by combat a grand total of 2 times. Yeah, I do get the sense that once you learn the basics of timing and dodging, it is difficult to actually die in 1v1 combat. which isn't the end of the world. It's more about what scenarios the game throws at you. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice that they included that as an option. But yeah, it's an open world RPG without a lot of the baggage that usually includes. It's imaginative and weird in a good way, but it's also straightforwardly fun to play, and it respects the player's time. And to see an indie studio start with a title this strong is a very encouraging sign, and I want to see where it goes from here. Now, let me find a place where I can jump off a cliff. That fall might be fatal. Let's give it a try. Not quite. This should do it. Yes! Welcome to my prison, human. The words smash against your skull with dread portent. There's no mistaking it. You're speaking to a god. Ah, I sense it in you. That abject horror, that searing shock. Your heart beats so fast it might burst. Your heart beats so fast it might burst, human. Oh, hi, Jeremy. Wait, am I dead? The entity laughs. Great pulses of eldritch energy reverberate through your bones. No, human. You are not dead. Not yet. You were moments from death. I plucked you from certain peril, as easily as your kind would pull a weed. There's an achievement for getting through a large part of the game without dying. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I can see how that has some narrative significance, or at the very least there's an interesting twist on this encounter. Anyway, it was not an act of kindness. I require something in return. Right. So what do you want? Vela Kalos, in her arrogance, chained me here in shackles of void steel. I wish to be free, and so she must die. You hunt Vela, correct? Without my aid, your mission is futile. You will surely meet a gruesome demise. So I will save you. I will pluck you from the precipice of oblivion, again and again, until the deed is done. Who are you? How times have changed that a human would ask such a thing. There were times in ages past where my shrines were in 1,000 settlements, where every Wiccan knew my name, where my mind rang with the prayers of your kind. I will not stoop to introducing myself, but know this. There are still those loyal to me, who preserve my hidden shrines. It is to these places that I will summon you, should your death be imminent. So that is the thing I saw at the very start of the game, that weird little, like, thing with the skeletal hands and like that translucent skull thing moving in circles at the very start when I started talking about weird things that you just stumble upon. Those shrines are throughout the game, and that's where you will spawn at the nearest one depending on where you die. Anyway, why did Vela capture you? Why else? She craved my power. I'm unique in the pantheon of major gods, as I can sense the moment of one's demise and steal them from their fate. But in her arrogance this was not enough, for I cannot revive someone who is long dead. There are no gods who can, save, perchance, the dreamers themselves. So she kept me chained here. Such is the sorry state of this world, that no followers came to save me. Not even the Wiccans came to my aid. Damn that cursed god war. Yeah. You teleport directly to this person to get the exposition. Remember our bargain, human. And as you can see, this is right here at our base. This is what was behind the door the whole time. So Vela set this whole thing up to imprison this guy. We don't know why. I mean, we have his word for it. But undoubtedly, she's going to tell the story a little bit differently. You can see it's basically this weird, multi-limbed being. And again, you get a sense for just how strange and alien this world is. This is not going to hew to the standard conventions of fantasy. It's going to do its own thing, and you're just along for the ride whether you like it or not. That's kind of what I like about it, so I'm definitely going to stick with this one. But yeah, thanks all for tuning in, and thanks to those who recommended this game to me. I'm really fascinated by it, can't wait to dig into it again. But we will be back to Technobabylon this Saturday. Until then, have a good night out there. For my fellow Americans, have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time.